because I like I challenge myself. And so if I have guys around me that we can challenge each other and they can challenge me to the point where we can correct each other or we can voice our opinion about something and um not have any um animosity or anything like that against each other and respect each other's opinions, that's when I knew that I saw areas where I could change and elevate myself, and they respect that from me as well. And so that's for me. That's one of those things where it was a real wake up call for me. It helped me to see them different. Like, man, this is this is a very valuable relationship.
I want you to go back because you mentioned growing up, you didn't see. I think I probably need you to restate that growing up, you didn't really have any good examples of brotherhood. I want you to talk a little bit about why that was, and if you think there are a lot of other young men growing up that don't necessarily see that, and why.
Um, well, for me, I have a little my story is a little different. Up until about I guess around 8 years old, me and my oldest brother, we fought a lot. We didn't have a good relationship, and so up until about 8 years old, we it got real ugly to the point where we had to be separate. We really had to be separated, and like different homes. And so after that, I didn't really after 8 to 10 years old, somewhere around there, I didn't really get a chance to grow up with my two younger brothers and really connect with them. Um, we we have different dads. I don't know if that played a role, but I remember seeing my younger brother's dad um, shower them with stuff and do stuff for them, and I didn't. My dad wasn't in my life like that, so I felt like, okay, uh, who got my back? And no uh no this to my mom, but she didn't put forth an effort to make sure that those the void was filled in my life. um and I didn't have like it just did not having that brotherly bond. We didn't have it wasn't a lot of love in the house. It wasn't a lot of affection. It wasn't a lot of um real communication. um so but not having it, I didn't feel like I was missing anything because I didn't know what it was anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So um, it wasn't until I saw other families sitting at the dinner table talking, uh, uh, other friends that I'm talking to their mom and having conversations. That's when I realized, wait a minute, something ain't right with my family, and and so uh, yeah. Once I saw that, I was like, you know what, that's what that's what I want to have when I become an adult
Mm-hmm.
and be that type of person for my family.
How do you think growing up, your experience growing into manhood could have been different if you did have mentorship and if you did have positive males around you? What do you think the difference could possibly have been if you were just to like take a moment to think back to the things that you needed and the things that you didn't have? How could that experience have been different if there were positive men that were pouring into you from from that age early on, 0 to 8, and then of course moving into teenagehood and then later into manhood?
When I think back, when I think back on it, I think that I believe that I'm the type of person where I would have appreciated direction, correction, and things like that. But in reality, the facts in my life, when I look at other people that had that, they're not they're not the man that I am today. Like they're not. A lot of them don't appreciate certain things. Like, say for instance, I didn't grow up in church, and when I did get in church, I appreciate it. I didn't grow up with a family like a tight knit family. So when I became an adult, I appreciated trying to have that. So I look at other relationships and I see people that had what I feel like I didn't have, and they don't seem to appreciate it. So I'm like, well, maybe it worked out fine for me.
Mhm.
Um, maybe I wouldn't have appreciated um having brothers and a dad in my life that pushed me to elevate myself. Like, say for instance, I to this day I'm still well, I'll say this. I'm 46. It took me around 36 to finally start pushing myself because I didn't have um I didn't have as a child playing sports somebody pushing me and saying, "Hey, if you want to be great, if you want to be great, if you want to be great." And so, like, I say that to I have an 18-year-old son that I say to him all the time. I'm like, if you want to be great, you gotta expect the most out of yourself. Um, I I try to be that parent that I feel like if I had, I would have been I would have reached a level of greatness sooner. But at the same time, like I said, I don't know. Some people I see a lot of kids now have stuff that I didn't have, and it seemed like it backfired. So I can't really say that it would have been a benefit to me when I look at society today and seeing overall, in my opinion, overall black kids are living better than when I was a child, and
Mhm.
it's like it seemed like it's backfiring
Yeah.
because yeah. So I would say that to answer your question, I think that uh, I don't know. I think it's possible that I can see how it could have been a negative thing as well. It's like the journey that I've been on was meant for me, and um, there's been things in my life that I feel like I couldn't have avoided. Like, I mean, just certain things that it was very traumatizing to me. I feel like it was almost as if it was meant to happen because no matter what, I just seem like that's the path. It's like if you know ahead of time, if you go back in time and you know ahead of time that this decision is going to lead you to this ugly path, and then you do it again and you change direction, and it still leads you to that
Mhm.
ugly path. I feel like that's what would have happened because that I feel like it just was. I had to go through what I went through to be who I am now.
So let's talk about where you are now. How important are those male relationships? Obviously, this is for a show that really showcases and highlights the importance of male peer relationships, right? And so I know that's something you and I have talked about a lot. What is it? What has how have those relationships with those men that are your peers, that are your brothers, God-given brothers, how have those relationships affected your life today?
Um, very in a very positive way. I'll say those relationships affect my relationships, like my friend brothers. Um, I feel like it's important to have these relationships because there's been times when like I'm a married man, and there's been times when marriage can be tough, and I sit down and talk with my fellas, and we share thoughts or whatever, and sometimes they'll check me, and I'm like, you know what, y'all right, marriage is too important for me to to allow myself to just fly. Cause when you married, when you married, it's easy to look at situations and feel like you got to make the most the most drastic decision ever. Like, you know what, I'm done or whatever, and your boys will sit down and be like, bro, like, come on, think about it, man. Like this, that, and the third. They'll be like, and when you sit back and you calm down, then I'm like, okay, you're right, man. You know what? Um, Rather it's and I feel like a lot of times seem like women think that we just sit around and we talk about women and so forth, maybe some sports or whatever. But my friends, we talk about real things. We talk about politics. We talk about business decisions. We talk about family. Um, we talk about beliefs. We talk about. I mean, our conversations are so. Uh, they get so deep sometimes to where I be sitting back laying. I wish women actually know how we really talk. Like we really we really dive deep and and uh and like I said, test each other. And I think that that's needed. Now I will say that uh you have to know how when meeting people, you got to know how you know yourself and know how to um figure out who's that type of friend and who's not. Um you can't force a brotherly friendship with somebody and maybe they was not meant to be that level of friend to you. So and but I take that upon me. Like I feel like I know myself enough to know which friends are on which level. So it's kind of like uh Jesus and the 12. It's like he knew the place of everybody all the way over to Judas. You know, he knew Judas's place. He knew James's place, and so it's kind of like even within my friends, I would say I probably have I would say two that like everything we could talk about everything. There are a couple that we can only really talk about maybe business and family and stuff like that, and so forth and so on. So it's like not everybody is on the same level of, and this is coming from somebody that I don't I've never used the term best friend. Like I wouldn't even say that I have a best friend. Um, it's just uh, these are very important friends that I have, and all of them are important in different ways. But there are probably two that I can think of that we could talk about everything, and and sometimes we listen, sometimes we responding, and but it's up to the person, it's up to the speaker and the hearer to understand that okay, now it's time to talk, now it's time to listen, and I think that we respect each other on that level.
So my last question is, when it comes, we hear a lot of conversations about mental health and therapy and different things like that. And I think, we're just getting to the point where I think more Black men are feeling comfortable even expressing themselves and expressing their emotions. How have these relationships with other Black men, if at all, affected your mental health, and your ability to kind of like, it's, maybe act as a therapy in some cases where you may not have, dealing with something that's traumatic, you may not have gone to a therapist, but these relationships have kind of stood in that gap. If you feel like that or not.
Um, in some ways, I would say those these relationships they do fill in that gap. But first and foremost, I want to say that um, for me, nobody's harder on me than I am on myself. So whether it's a friend, whether it's my wife, whether it's nobody can expect more from me than I expect of myself. And I think that that's the beginning right there. Like you gotta, um, I don't know if I some certain situations I don't know if I'm the right guy to talk to because I'm a no excuse type guy. So and when I say no excuse type, I'm talking about like whether it's giving up, whether it's cheating, whether it's not giving my all, whether I don't like giving myself excuses. And so I think that it start there with me. And if if I am if I'm with my with my guys and whatever, and one may be saying something about his job or complaining about his job or so forth, Hello?
Yeah, it just went out for a second. Just start over.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Did I lose you?
I can hear. Go out and come back in. I can still hear you.
Hello? Is it back?
I can hear. I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. Yeah, you can go ahead. Go ahead. I didn't stop
Okay.
recording.
Okay. Um, yeah, like I
Just
was
pick
saying,
up
I'm
right
a,
where you were saying that you're
yeah,
no excuses.
yeah. So for me, and like I said, this has worked for me. No excuses for me. I expect so much from myself, and I feel like if you allow yourself to have excuses, you're going to use them. Like when I was a going back to when I was a child, it wasn't until I started cutting up when I was made aware that I had I had the excuses that people could use, like no dad, bad neighborhood. Once I realized that, I was probably, let me see, I might have been third grade or something like that. Once I started being told that, I started using them. You know, so I started using the whole dad not dad and all types of stuff. Being we earlier on we was on welfare. I started using all of that, and so I know me. I feel like if you allow yourself to have excuses, you're going to use them. So
Was it your phone?
yeah, somebody keep calling. Am I able to do this without somebody?
You're
One of my
fine. We're
guys keeps
almost done.
calling me.
We're almost done. Because really,
Okay.
all I need from now is like how that how those relationships affect your mental health.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting. Like for me, my mental health is based off of two things: my faith and how I see myself. And so I feel like my mental health is intact because of those two things. That's all I need, those two things. Some people need more than those two things, and that's okay, but you gotta identify that. I think it's most important for you as an individual to understand what you need to make sure that uh you have everything that you need to be mentally, spiritually, and physically intact so that you can um live up to your full potential. If I me, that's all I need is those two things, spiritually and making sure that I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do. Life don't have to be exactly the way I need it to be for me. I just need to know that I've done um I just need to know that I've done my best, and mentally I'm good from there. I can have a bad day. At this point in my life, I'm 46. I'm at a point in life where I can have a day that appear to be bad, and I'm good. I'm good. Um, I don't. So and again, I think that it's a good idea to go to therapy and maybe have somebody to maybe help you find that side of you. Um, But for me, I think that I'm there where like I think I'm ready for whatever. My long as my wife, me and my wife on the same page, we good, and everything. I don't expect a lot from everybody else. I don't expect too much from other people. And so even with my friends, it depends on what you expect from a person to whether or not how hard you can be let down.
Okay, that is what I needed. So I'm gonna chop some of this up for this.
I hope so, good boy.
No, you did good though. You did good. You did good.
Only Crystal get me.
Oh, hey, it was time. It was time for you to be on the other side. Yeah,
Man, whatever, man.
yeah. We
Oof.
got more to do.
No, 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 no.